Welcome to Peer Learning. Today we are going to have a session on Python basics. This will be the part one session. This will be taken by me. I'm Sabya Samadar. So I'll start with a brief introduction about myself. Uh, I'm Sabya Samadar and I'm a MTech in Computer Science. Professionally, I'm a cloud solution architect. So if you want to follow me, you can go through my LinkedIn profile and you can drop me an email if you have any queries in my personal email ID. So going forward to the agenda of this session, it's like we'll go through these topics like what is Python, and then I'll show you how to install Python, and then we'll go through some basic topics of Python. Uh, we'll not go very deep. That I've kept the advanced topics I've kept for the part two sessions, but we will obviously start with something today. So let's start with what is Python. So from the definition perspective, if you see from the python.org, I got this. Python is a interpreted, object-oriented, high-level programming language with dynamic semantics. It's high-level, built in data structures combined with dynamic typing and dynamic binding, make it very attractive for rapid application development as well as for use as a scripting or glue language to connect existing components together. So it shows that not only scripting language, you can have object-oriented programming also in Python. And in future, like there are a lot of more different types of libraries are available for Python coding. Python has been very good in machine learning domain also, and you can actually write scripting based applications. You can write object oriented applications. You can have web applications also in Python, as well as you can have console application with built-in UIs. So from the performance point of view, we will compare with other programming language down the line, but it's one of the most popular programming language currently in the market. So let me show you how to install Python. So we'll start with going to python.org, and you can download Python there, depend on your operating system you're using. So in this session we'll use 3.8, but you can install the latest version, whichever is available at that time when you are going through this course or going through this video. After you download your Python, you need to download IDE where you can write Python programming. So for this session, I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. You can select whatever you're comfortable with. Like there are other IDEs also with Python, like PyCharm. There is Jupyter Notebooks. There is an extension for Visual Studio also, and there are lots of other IDEs also. So depend on your comfort level, you can choose the other IDs also. But in this session, I'll go through Visual Studio Code. Once you install Visual Studio Code, you need to install the Python extension also there. So after that, I think we will go with the demo part. So let us jump into the demo. So if you come to this python.org, you'll come to this download page where, depend on your operating system, you can download the Python. So once you download it, you have to come to this Visual Studio Code where you can download Visual Studio Code depend on your operating system. And once you do that, you'll have this window coming up. So this is your Visual Studio Code, and here you'll do all your operations of Python programming. So in Visual Studio Code, there will be a section called extensions. You need to come here and install the Python extension. So there are lots of Python extensions you can see. For our sessions, I have gone through with this Python extension. It's pretty good. It's created by Microsoft itself, and it's pretty good. So I really like this extension, and you'll down the line when we'll do machine learning kind of applications, you'll see the benefits of this extension. So let's continue with this. Install this extension, and once you install it, you will Python oriented configuration is done for you. Okay, so let's close it now here, and let's go to our page here and try to create a sample applications. Okay, so let us create a file. I just clicked here. It can pop up like a new file, and let me name it as Python basics. The extension of Python programming language scripts is py.py. So once you do a .py, you will see that the icon got changed immediately. So this is the advantage of that extension. So we have created this Python basics.py, and in the definition, we have heard that Python is an interpreted language. So how we can see the difference between an interpreter and a compiler? So ideally, what happens when you compile application, it converts the programming language code into an intermediate language that machine understands, and then you execute that interpreted language to get the output. But for interpreter, it doesn't happen like that. It executes line by line. So that's the difference between interpreted language and a compiler language. So let me show you Python step by step. So if you want, the basics of programming is like you need to comment whatever you're doing. Okay, so how to comment in Python? Let's learn that. So you want to write something. For example, you want to write like, this is my first code in Python. Okay, so I just need to comment it, and in Python, if you put a hash, that is the comment in the code. So that's it. Okay, so comment, it's very important in Python coding, because it helps the other guy to, like, or anyone whom you will hand over this code. It will kind of help them to explain, like, not only in Python, in any language. If you write any code, commenting is very important. It's a good practice. It doesn't come in a day. You need to practice it, and once you practice it, it becomes a habit of writing comments every time. Okay, so apart from that, let's see the print function for Python. This is the print function. Okay, and here we can write our famous hello world. Okay, and that's a string. As you all know, it's a string within double quotes. And how to run it? You can see a uh, green icon here. This also comes with the Python extension. If you click on it, it runs the application, and you can see a hello world got printed here. So it's a console application. Today, like, this session will be mainly for the scripting languages. For object oriented, we'll have in our next sessions. Okay, so don't worry. We will go step by step. So now this is the print part. Think of a scenario that you have to print something which is kind of like, there'll be a new line, or you want to print something with giving a gap in the next line, something like that. So there are multiple ways you can achieve that. It's like you just print a blank thing and then print something else here. And this will do it. So I can see hello world and then a blank step and then something else. Or you can have /n. These are escape characters. Okay, so /n actually will create a gap here. So let's run it, and you can see the same output here. Okay, so let's go with the string part. Okay, so we can see here we have used a string hello world and we printed it. And okay, another thing I want to show you how to comment multiple lines at a time. So in Visual Studio Code, we can do it through Control K and Control C. And how to uncomment it? Control K and Control U. Okay, so these things you can Google it out, like how to do commenting and uncommenting in Visual Studio Code. And for example, for here we have Control K and Control C. Okay, so next stage is like, I'm going to show you regarding the string thing. So what are the string operations we can do? So in Python, you don't have to declare your variables. Okay, so they are not very strongly typed language. So, for example, our variable name is X, and I want to put some string content into it. Like this is a string content. Okay. Now there are multiple ways you can actually create strings in Python. So there can be double quotes, there can be single quote. This is a single quote content. Okay, you can have triple quotes also, like triple. Okay, this is a triple quote example. Okay, and all these three XYZ are valid strings. Now, what is the reason? So I couldn't found any kind of rationale behind supporting so many types of strings, but what I understood, like you just need to stick with one version. So you cannot use everything in your whole app code. Don't use multiple conventions. Okay, so stick with one convention. If you're going to use double quotes, follow it everywhere. If you're going to use single quote, follow it everywhere. If you're going to use triple quotes, follow it everywhere. It gives a good look to your code, rather than using every time a different convention. Okay, so what's the need? I can tell you these two are pretty similar to each other, like the single and double. What I understood, like if you want to add like for example, this is Savvy's content. For example, I want to print uh, uh, apostrophe s or kind of a single quote comma in my content. So I cannot do that with a single quote. So if I do it here, you will see the error here straight away. So this is error code. Okay, let me do it. And definitely you can see the color change here, and you can understand like something is wrong here. And if I run it, you'll find it. So there is an error here. So you cannot have single quote printed with single quote as an option for your string. You can print a double quote here, definitely. So if you need a double quote to print, you can use a single quote, and you can use a double quote in between as a content. So that these two can be used interchangeably. But for triple quote, the advantage that you'll get is like you can actually write multi-line strings. So you can see this is a multi-line string content, and that can be supported with triple quote. And I can run it, and I can show you. It will compile. It compiled. Let me print also. Print x comma y comma z, and so you can see. So you can see this is a like it got printed in a different line. So let me print you z, and you'll get a better understanding of it. So you can see it's a multi-line output. So this you can achieve through triple quote. You cannot do it with single quote or double quote. So let us try that. If I do try to have multi-line content with triple quote, you can see the color is white, it's not yellow. And this shows that something is wrong. And this is something what I found, like the difference between these three types of quoting system. So now let us see some string formatting. So let us take some input from the user. Okay, so first name to input. So this is the way you can take the input. You can write some prompt like please enter your first name, and then last name to be stored in a last name variable. You can take it as an input and store it in the prompt. Last name. Okay, so now you can print this variables like your name is, and then you can concatenate with plus operator. sorry, yeah, first name, then I just need to have some space, then I can have the last name. Okay, so now let us run the code. It's asking for your first name. Let me give my first name, and then let me give my last name, and you can see the output is your name is Samarth. So this is very old way of printing your or concatenate strings. So in Python there are multiple ways you can do it. So there is a called a format part, which is kind of helps you to format things. For example, if I have these two placeholders and then I write dot format, and then I give this input first name and last name as my placeholders, and I can put some space in between, and this will actually print you the same thing. Okay, so let me know this error. What is the error? Okay, I just had to close this. Yeah, so it's asking for name. Let me put some other name like Sabi, some other, and you can see it got printed. Your name is Sabi Samandat. Okay. So you can actually, if you want to print the last name first and the first name after that, you can actually number this placeholders. So I can make it like it always start with 0. So 0 will be your first name and 1 will be your last name. So if I want to print my surname first, last name first, I can put the placeholder as 1 should be first and 0 will be after that. So your last name will print it now and first name will be print after that. So let us check that. uh, Here again, let me give the same input just to have some clarity. Yeah, so you can see the title got printed first, so Samadhar got printed first and then Savvy. So in Python 3 there is a better way of printing string. Let me show you that also. With Python 3 only. In Python version 2.x it doesn't support. So you need to write this f in the beginning, and then in place of writing placeholders you can write the variable name uh, in here. So that's the, I think it's a more cleaner way of writing your or printing your variables. So this format part you don't need, so let me remove it. So this is the part. So you just need to add a f, that is f for format, and then the string, and then in the placeholder you can just write straight away the variable name, and it will get printed. So let me show you that. Again I'll put the same inputs, and you can see it got printed. Your name is Savi Samadhar. So try to use it in your coding. So let us go through, let us see, like there are different options with string formatting or string manipulation. You'll find there are different other functions that we can utilize. That is, for example, dot capitalize. So it actually capitalized your first name. Okay, so the initial, like the starting name will get capitalized. So let me show you that also. I think that is also a very good way of showing it. Capitalize. Okay, with this your intelligence will not come. So let me try to do this capital. Let me see whether it prints or not. Okay, and you can see the S as it's in capitals. So you can do that. Apart from that, you can, if you want to make it upper, you can make it upper. So you can see it got uppercase. You can print the lowercase also as lower, and there are many other functions you can use if you're using a string. uh, so in Python, everything is an object. So every data type is an object, and every object has its own methods. So we'll get to know more details about it when we'll do the object oriented programming. But keep in mind that whenever using strings, there are inbuilt functions that we can use, uh, which normally we have to write code in our C sharp or Java programming language. Okay, so keep that in mind, keep that in handy whenever you're playing with Python data types. Let us see, like now, the 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 numeric data types in Python. So let me update this as some variable, var1 and var2, and let me have some number now. Please enter a number. Okay, let me change it. Please enter the second number. Okay. Okay, so whatever it comes, I'm going to add those two numbers. So what I'm going to do is var1 plus var2. Okay, so let me see what is the output. It's asking for a number. I'll give 5, and the second number I'll give a 6. The output should be 5 plus 6, 11, but the output is 56. So this shows that in the input, your numbers are entered as a string. So that's why 5 plus 6 become 56 as in a string. So how to make it integer? You can typecast it. So you just need to do a typecast here, and let me show you like the float version of that also. Okay, let me show you the float version also there. Okay, so let me run it, and again I'll give the same inputs, 5 and 6, and you can see now the output is 11 and 11.0. Okay, so this is something which you may have to work with, like typecasting like one variable to another data type, and this is very common way of doing it. To typecast a variable, integer variable into a string, that can be done through this str function. For example, if I want to print a numeric variable as a string, how to do that? That you can do through this str function. So you can write 4, and if you take it in a variable, or like string, this str4, and if you print this string and plus any other number, for example, if I add some other string here, for example, uh, string 2, this will work. So you can see the number 4 has been converted into string, and then it got concatenated with string 2 as 4 string 2. Okay, so you can use this typecasting techniques to typecast your data type depending on what kind of data type you are using. Okay, now let us see another type of data type, which is date. Okay, so for that you need to import uh, a module. So it's a date type module, uh, and from date time we're importing date time and time delta. So these are the two modules I'm actually importing from the date time. So date time, these are kind of comes inbuilt with Python libraries, and for now think of module as kind of a library which you can access, and through that you can actually import few classes, for example date time and time delta, and you can use them in your code. So how to use it? So date time is again like if I want to print today's date, and then it will be date time dot now, and it's going to print the today's date. You can see today's date got printed. And time delta is something which is like a kind of getting the date object of a delta, uh, delta of your of any specific date which you can use for date calculations. So let me show you. For example, my birthday was couple of days before, so how to get a couple of days from today. So I can use this time delta thing. So I can tell like couple of days back, and I can make it as time delta, and I can mention here days as 2. So it's going to 2 days, like it will go back 2 days. Okay, and then I can use it. For example, I can use it as like birthday equals to date time dot now, it's today's date, minus couple of days back. Okay, this operation is permitted because both of them are date object, and that's why we are using time delta. Okay, and then if I print this birthday, I'll get my birthday date. Okay, so let us print it. Okay, and you can see like 30th November got printed here. This is something I printed before. Let's ignore it. Like today's date, that's fine. Today's date is this, and 30th, like 2 days before it got printed. So this is the advantage of time delta. If you want to print, like you can see while I print this birthday, I got this minutes, hours, and seconds, milliseconds details also. So if I don't want that, I can do something like this: birthday dot uh, dot day. Okay, and plus I can have some formatting here. Plus I can have birth date dot month, plus, and I can have this birth date dot year. So year will be obviously 2020, and let me see the output now. There is some, oh okay, so now you can see as these are not string objects, they will throw an error, as is mentioned here that they are not string objects. So let us typecast it into string. Okay, ideally they return integers. This is birthday dot month, year, and birthday year. Okay, so keep that in mind while playing with the date time object. Okay, so you can see my birthday got printed in a specific format. So if I need to take an input from an user, like I want the user to input the uh, the date, so how to do that? So this becomes a bit complicated, so that's why this date time module is very handy for this kind of requirements. So let me show you how to take date time as input. Okay, let me comment out this part, and let me take an input. Okay, so it can be yeah, so let me see, date, I'll put it in the date variable, and I'll try to take an input like please enter a date, but I want them to put this date in a typical format, which is dd mm and y. Okay, and that's it. So once I get this date in a particular format, I can actually strip it. So let me see, extract date variable. what I'm going to do, I'm going to use another inbuilt function of date time, that is strp time. So it's going to strip it, and I can going to use the date variable that I have declared earlier. And then the magic things I'm going to do, I can just to put percentage d here, and this is like the 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 telemetry. Then let's go with m, and then again I'll have this, and then I'll have percentage y, and that's it. So I'll get that extract date, and then if I want to print it, I can print this extract date. Let's see what is the output. So let me 30 11 1987, and you can see it's printed in that format. Okay, so the date object got created out of it. So this, what happens, it actually extract the date from this string, whatever I've inputted, and create a date object out of it. So that is the beauty of this extract date. You can print it in your own way also, whatever you want. But think of a scenario when user will enter this date in a different way. For example, if I enter this date in a different way, and I'll get an error. So whatever the telemetry, you need to specify that, and if your code need to handle it intelligently, and you need to ask from the user intelligent question, because if you don't ask the user to enter the date in a particular format, they will enter the date in a different format, and then your application need to handle those kind of things. So how to handle exception, that is also very important in coding. So we have try catch in Python. So let us show you that also. So this is error handling part. This is the try part. I think most of the programming language have try catch, but here we have try and exceptions. So let's put everything in the try block, and then this is the except block, which is going to print the exception. Something is wrong. And then we have the finally block, which is going to print finally will be printed. So no matter what happens, like whether you have an error or you don't have an error, finally will be always called. So normally we do our cleaning part in this finally block. So let's run this and see. Let me create some error. Okay, I'm not going to enter in a particular format, and once I do it, I got the exception block printed. Something is wrong, and finally will be printed. So if I have uh, created like given the right format, you can see the date got printed. So this is why we handle error in Python. And apart from that, we have different types of conditions. Okay, let me show you the condition part also. So control key, control C. Okay, so there are different conditions you can use. Normally in other programming language we use if else. In Python also we use if else. And let me create some object. Okay, create x equals to 100 and y equals to 50, and then put some condition here like x is more than y. Then print x is greater, and else print y is greater. Okay, So x is 100, y is 50, so obviously x is greater will be printed. So let us run it out, and you can see x is greater got printed. Now think of a scenario when y is greater or y is equal to x. For example, y is also 100. um, then this if else will have a wrong result, because x is not greater than y. Because if I run this, uh, I will have y is greater, which is wrong, because x and y are equal, and I cannot see that. So for that, if you have another, like you have to have more if conditions which doesn't satisfy with one if condition, you can have an option called elif. Okay, which you can have more if conditions, like it's kind of an else if for the other programming language. So here you can have that condition, and you can write x is equal, x and y are equal. So okay, and so you can see x and y are equal. So this is the way you can have multiple nested ifs. Okay, a if can have a if within that, so that's fine. Apart from that, if you have multiple conditions in a if, then you can have something like this: x and y, and x is more than 10 or something like that. So you can have the operator and, you can have the operator or, you can have the operator not. I hope you all guys understood the or and not operators. So if not, you can google it out. It's pretty simple. If you have done programming language, you'll get it. Like it's not a it's not very tough or difficult to understand, but it's kind of used for complex conditions. Okay, uh, so this is the way Python actually um uh, can evaluate complex conditions also. And you can use or and not uh, for kind of having more complex and robust if else conditions. So that is from me for today. From next session, we'll start with collections, which will be built on top of this session. So this is just a basic start, and I hope you have liked this video. I'll be back with the next session very soon. Thanks for uh, thanks for spending some time in coming and tuning with my channel.